Hello everybody and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 2, Episode 4, A Thing About Machines, written by Rod Serling and starring Richard Hayden as Bartlett Finchley. And for the sake of this review, I will just call him Finchley or Mr. Finchley or something like that. Now, before I get into this episode, let me just say that if someone told me this was the worst Twilight Zone episode ever or the most ridiculous, and they wanted to give it a 1-star rating, I wouldn't argue with them. This episode is ridiculous and objectively not good. But I'm so entertained and shocked by how bizarre and ridiculous this episode is that while I admit it's not good, I'm not going to destroy it. So, at least completely destroy it. Well, with that out of the way, let me get started. This episode starts with Finchley and a TV repairman, and he's fixing the television. And we learn right away that Finchley doesn't seem to really like machines too much. We learn that he kicked his foot through the screen, and that is why the television doesn't work. But all he's complaining about is how it was the TV's fault somehow, and complaining to the repairman about how everything is overpriced and how it's a ripoff to get it fixed, and all these other type of things. So when the repairman leaves, he gets mad at a clock for no reason that I can really see possible, and he destroys the clock. And then we do get a cool opening narration from Rod Serling after a pretty long open, where he actually appears on the TV, so that was a nice touch. And he explains, basically how this guy's miserable, and he doesn't really have a lot of friends, and how he doesn't like machines. Gee, go figure, it's hard to believe this guy doesn't, all these things based on what we've already seen. Oh, but it gets better. We go to the next scene where Finchley is talking to his secretary, asking her, how much work she got done. And he not only blames her, he blames the typewriter for not being able to type faster. So she wants to quit. He begs her not to. He says he doesn't want to be alone because odd things are happening in the house, and things like the TV, radio, and clock and the typewriter are all against him. There is a conspiracy by the machines in the house to get him somehow. Yes, this is really happening. This is really what this episode is about. So finally he blows up at the secretary again. She leaves and says she is rooting for the machines to win, and I can't really blame her at this point. And that is when the episode really gets good. The typewriter starts typing by itself, and it types out a message saying, "Get out of here, Finchley, get out of here, Finchley," over and over again. Then, it gets even better. The television turns itself on, and there's a girl on the TV doing some kind of odd dance or something, and she always says something like, "Why don't you get out of here, Finchley?" but not in a woman's voice, in some kind of weird sounding. I have no idea what that voice is. So that's basically the halfway point of the episode, and if you're already not in disbelief, you will be, trust me. So he's on the phone calling various women, trying to get someone to come over. I'm guessing because he didn't want to be alone. He gets rejected by a couple different women for different reasons, and he blames the phone. Yes, he blames the phone because nobody will come over based on what he said. And he smashes the phone and says it's also against him. But then comes the best part. He goes to into the bathroom, and he's using his razor, and the razor basically gets a mind of its own and starts coming. It's floating in the air or something, which it looks completely ridiculous. I don't know what to even say at this point. And then after he gets mad at the razor, he also comes back out, and the phone, which he already threw on the ground, is also saying, "Get out of here, Finchley." So I guess everything really is against him. So we go to the next scene, and we find out that his car rolled down the driveway and almost hit someone. So he blames the car, of course, and calls all the people outside idiots or something, and goes back in and starts drinking. And then it gets really good. After he wakes up, he starts, the TV goes back on, the typewriter, he starts seeing everything all at once, and the razor from before actually literally comes down the stairs, the razor, and attacks him. And it just looks ridiculous. It's hard to believe anything at this point. So He goes outside, and the car that was mentioned earlier turns on itself and chases him around. And actually, I gotta admit, I thought this looked pretty cool. Some of the effects in this episode I didn't think worked. The car chasing him was pretty cool, and this goes on for a few minutes. Eventually, it chases him out to where there's a pool. I'm guessing it's his pool. And he falls into the pool, and the next scene we see is an officer outside talking with another man, and they talk about how they found him dead, and they're not really sure what he died from. They just found him on the bottom of the pool, I guess, and they said he had a scared look on his face. And then, they talk about how, was it all in his imagination, or who knows what happened, and who cares? I guess you would say he was delusional and all these things came after him in his mind and it killed him, but who really knows for sure? None of this really makes any sense. We don't really know why this man was ever scared of machines or why he is the way he is. The whole episode is just ridiculous. But if you take it as just a fun, bizarre episode, like I did, because there's really no other way to take it. There's other bad Twilight Zone episodes, but I feel like this one is so far out there and so ridiculous that you can't take it serious. I can understand somebody completely killing this episode, but I'm strangely intrigued and entertained by it a little. I still can't give it a good rating, but I don't think it's the worst episode simply because it's not really boring and I was entertained. So I'm going to go 2 out of 5 for A Thing About Machines. I'm being nice, I know. 2 out of 5 for this episode, Thing About Machines. Thanks for watching.